They thought the studio had been wiped clean months after YuMenglong's disappearance, every draft, every rehearsal clip, every backup drive collected and archived. But late one night, the new assistant, Lin Hao, found something that wasn't supposed to exist, a forgotten folder hidden deep in the server, locked behind a directory labeled System Temp. It wasn't part of any production log, and the last edit was dated the day after the night everything went dark. The studio was quiet when Lin found it. Only the hum of the server racks filled the air, the sound of old fans turning in a rhythm that seemed almost alive. He'd been asked to clean up old backups to free space, but a small red icon blinked on the main monitor, a file marked FF_rehearsal_19. The name looked ordinary, but the folder it was buried in had a creation date that predated even the studio's current security system. Lin hesitated, fingers hovering above the mouse. The air conditioner clicked off, and suddenly the room felt too still. He double-clicked. Inside were 23 files. No video extensions. No thumbnails. Just codes, strings of letters and timestamps. He clicked the first one. A black screen filled the monitor, then flickered into the image of a piano room, dim light, camera slightly tilted. Yu Menglong sat at the piano, shoulders tense, fingers frozen above the keys. The timestamp read 1:42 a.m. Yu Menglong, on video if they find this, it means I didn't get to finish. Don't send it to the network. Keep it offline. His voice cracked, not rehearsed, not performed. He looked over his shoulder once, then turned back to the camera. The others think I'm deleting everything, but I'm not. I'm saving what's real. The sound, the moments before the silence. Lin's hand trembled. The file ended abruptly, no fade out, no save prompt, just static. He opened another one. This time, it was a close-up of the mixing desk. YuMenglong's handwriting was visible on a sticky note, "Do not touch, loop memory 213. Every clip after that had the same timestamp hidden somewhere, on a clock, in the file name, in the system log metadata. 213, the same time the studio lights had cut out the night of the final rehearsal. Lin began exporting the files, one by one, to an external drive. But as he copied them, new folders appeared automatically: Shadow, Echo, Loopback. Each one expanding on its own, filling with mirrored versions of the same videos, but reversed, their sound distorted, running backward like an audio confession playing in reverse. He muted the speakers, but faint whispers still leaked from the system, an impossible low hum beneath the silence. The door to the recording booth creaked open. Lin froze. No one should have been there that late. He looked through the glass, empty. Just the faint light from the piano monitor. When he turned back to the main screen, a new video had opened on its own. This one wasn't part of the folder. It was labeled Observer_Cam. The feed showed the current studio, live, with Lin sitting exactly where he was. But in the reflection of the booth glass behind him, a figure moved, just a blur of white shirt and dark hair, pacing slowly where no one stood. Lin spun around. Nothing. He returned to the monitor, pulse racing. The reflection still showed the figure, closer now, leaning over his shoulder. Then, a line of text appeared across the top of the screen. You shouldn't have reopened it. The cursor began typing by itself in the search bar, reverse.log. A new folder appeared, revealing dozens of system notes written in YuMenglong's style, short, cryptic, urgent. It's not a rehearsal anymore. They built the silence into the file. If you loop it long enough, it plays something else. Lin's curiosity overpowered fear. He dragged the waveform of the final recording into the mixer, slowed it down 800%, and hit play. At first, nothing. Then a sequence of piano notes echoed softly, distorted but deliberate. Between the notes, a voice whispered, layered, mechanical, and eerily familiar. Backup complete. The lights flickered. He stopped the playback. The room went silent again. Then the monitor blinked once more, this time showing a new message. User. YM logged in from Studio 02. That studio had been offline for months. The cameras there were disconnected, the power cut off since the night everything ended. Lin grabbed his phone and opened the studio security feed. One of the cameras showed static, but in the middle of the static, a faint outline appeared, someone sitting at the piano. The same piano from the first recording. The same white shirt. The timestamp, 2:13 a.m. He bolted down the corridor, flashlight in hand. The metal door to Studio 02 was still sealed with the lock he'd installed himself, but the faint sound of piano keys echoed from inside. A hesitant melody, half-finished, trembling. Note by note, he recognized it. The same tune Yu Menglong played in his last performance, the one that cut off mid-phrase when the power went out. Lin pressed his ear to the door. The music stopped. Then, quietly, someone whispered from the other side. "It's not your backup anymore." He stumbled back, heart racing, fumbling for the key. The power surged, the corridor lights dimming to a blood-red glow. When he looked back at the door, a new light pulsed beneath the frame, faint blue, rhythmic, like a heartbeat. The servers in the main control room began rebooting on their own, one by one. On every monitor, the same message appeared. Syncing archive, user confirmed, YM. The entire system had reconnected to an account that shouldn't exist. The forgotten folder was replicating across every backup drive in the building. By morning, the entire studio network crashed. When the tech team arrived, all that remained was one empty folder, its title changed to rehearsal_complete. Inside it was a single file, lastnote.mp3. It played for exactly 13 seconds. A soft piano key. A quiet exhale. Then Yu Menglong's voice, almost a whisper, layered beneath the echo of the instrument. Backups are only for those planning to be erased. And then, silence. But when they checked the system logs, the file wasn't local. It was streaming, from an external address traced to an inactive user account. The name on it, Yu Menglong. Since that night, no one's been able to delete the folder. Every time someone tries, the file recreates itself in a new directory, always with the same timestamp, 2:13 a.m. And if you slow it down, if you listen closely between the piano keys, his voice still whispers the same words. It's not over. The backup remembers. The studio was never quiet again after that night. Even when the power was off, something hummed in the walls, a low vibration, like the building itself was breathing. Lin Hao stopped sleeping. Every time he tried, he'd hear the faint click of piano keys, drifting through the vents, too soft to trace but too real to ignore. He told no one what he'd found. The file still sat on the offline drive in his desk drawer, wrapped in black tape, but he could feel it there, alive, pulsing, waiting. Whenever he powered up any computer, even his phone, the cursor would blink in the corner of the screen, the same rhythm as that night's hum. 3 days later, a technician named Mei came in to run a routine audit on the system. She was new, curious, and fearless in the way only people who hadn't seen the first backup could be. "The servers keep looping an old-time code," she said, frowning at the console. 2:13 a.m. It's embedded in the root partition. Every time I delete it, it rewrites itself. Lin froze. Don't open anything labeled rehearsal_19. But curiosity has its own gravity. Mei clicked before he could finish. The screen turned black for a heartbeat. Then a single image appeared, Yu Menglong in the recording booth, facing the camera, eyes unfocused but intense, as if he were seeing through time itself. The audio began as a whisper, static folding around his words. Yu Menglong, on video they said the backup was for safety. But what if the memory refuses to stay buried? The feed glitched. The system timestamp jumped backward, 2:13 became 2:12, then 2:11, ticking in reverse. Yu Menglong. Someone always finds the folder again. Mei leaned closer to the monitor, mesmerized. The reflection of her face merged with his on the screen until they almost looked like one. Then the speakers let out a soft piano note, the first key of his unfinished song. The room temperature dropped so sharply their breath misted. Lin hit the power switch, but the screens didn't go dark. Instead, new windows began opening on their own. /loop/memory2. /echo_trace. /voice_sync. The file names multiplied like spores, spilling across the desktop until the icons filled every inch. The power meter flashed, the fans screamed, and the monitors switched to a split screen, left side showing the studio's live feed, right side showing a grainy version from the night of his disappearance. In both feeds, the same thing happened at once. The lights flickered, the piano key struck, and Yu Menglong turned to the camera. Yu Menglong. It copies the observer. Mei stepped back. Copies? The feed zoomed without command. It wasn't a camera move, it was as if the video itself was leaning closer. Lin reached for the mouse, but the pointer wouldn't move. Across the top of the screen, words began typing themselves. New user detected. ML. Syncing memory. Shut it off. Lin yelled. He pulled the main cable from the wall. The lights in the room blinked off, then, impossibly, on again, powered by nothing visible. The monitors glowed dim blue. The piano started playing from somewhere behind the booth glass. Not a recording. Actual sound. The same broken melody from the final rehearsal, looping endlessly. May pressed a hand to the glass. There's no one in there, she whispered. But condensation began to form on the inside surface, as if someone were breathing from within. The song stopped. Then, in the fog on the glass, words appeared, drawn by an unseen hand. Backup complete. Lin stumbled back, dragging May with him. But the servers behind them powered up again, one by one, their LEDs blinking in perfect sync, like 1,000 mechanical heartbeats. Let's leave it, she said, voice shaking. They ran. The next morning, when Lin returned, the studio smelled faintly of ozone and dust. Every monitor was dark except one. On that screen, the folder had changed its name again, now it read memory_again. He opened it carefully. Only one file remained, mirror_feed.mov. It started with black. Then the faint sound of breathing, slow and close to the microphone. A man's voice, Yu Menglong's, whispered something indecipherable. When Lin slowed the audio, he realized it wasn't just one voice. It was two. His own voice layered beneath it, repeating the same words milliseconds later. You opened it. Lin, overlay, you opened it. The camera image resolved slowly. It was the live feed again, but slightly off, colors too pale, shadows too deep. In the reflection on the piano's glossy lid, Lin saw his own face watching from behind the camera. Then, behind that reflection, another silhouette appeared, standing right where Yu Menglong had been. The reflection leaned forward. Its lips moved, but the sound came from Lin's speakers. You copied me. The feed cut. The system clock read 2:13 a.m. again, even though it was broad daylight. He shut everything down, removed every cable, and packed the drives into a steel case. He left the studio without looking back. That night, at home, he set the case in the corner of his apartment. He swore he wouldn't open it again. But at exactly 2:13 a.m., his phone buzzed, unknown sender, single attachment, rehearsal_19, auto-sync. His breath caught. He hadn't connected the drives. The message had no metadata, no server origin, no way to trace it. Only one line of text below the file name. You left the light on. The lamp on his desk flickered once. Then his laptop, powered off, lit up for a second. On the black screen, just one word appeared in white type. Play. He didn't. He couldn't. He sat motionless until the light died again. But the next morning, when he powered on the laptop, the desktop wallpaper had changed to an image of the piano room, empty except for a faint, transparent reflection of two people sitting side by side. One was Yu Menglong. The other was him. And at the bottom of the screen, a new folder waited. Recovered_backup, May version. He didn't open it. Still, every night, at 2:13 a.m., the fan inside his unplugged laptop begins to spin. The drive light blinks once, twice, then steadies, beating quietly, like a second heart.